Hey, what's going on, guys? Brandon here with Texas Plinking, making a little bit of a video comparison between two guns. We have got the newly released for the US market anyway. This is Springfield Armory Hellion, which is the US importation of the HS product VHS2. And on my right, your guys' left, we've got the IWI X95 Tavor, both of them configured in 5.56, and they're modern bullpups. So we're gonna go ahead and run through some specs and just overall feature set. Then we're gonna talk about manual of arms and then overall shooting impressions. And there's a little bit of construction going on the property, so hopefully I'm yelling loud enough so you guys can hear me, but certainly these guns are about to speak for themselves, and so all will be good. Before I even get into the analytics and talking about the guns head to head, I wanna mention why it's these two guns here and why certain guns are not here. Well, I don't have every gun in the world, so that's the first one. I do have two others. I have the FN FS2000, at home, as well as the Steyr AUG. I don't believe the manufacturers try to tote those guns as tomorrow's weapons, more or less. The FS2000 kind of came and went, and they are no longer in production. And the AUG, on the other hand, is a gun that came to fruition in the late 70s and slowly modernized a little bit as the NATO version to take AR mags, has a pick rail. But in my honest opinion, I still think that it's more so style points for that thing, and I don't think Steyr is so much trying to tote that as the tomorrow's weapon either. It's very cool, and you should totally get one. But in this comparison, Springfield Armory and HS Product think this is a very valuable option to replace an AR-15 or whatever. They think it's a great battle rifle today, and so does IWI for their X95 Tavor. Speaking of tomorrow's weapons, that is Desert Tech's slogan, so the MDR, MDRX, I straight up don't have one. I try to get one sooner than later, that way we could just compare all of them in one video, but it's a lot easier if I just focus on X95 Tavor versus the Hellion. Hopefully that explains why these are the only two guns here. It's gonna be a little bit easier to focus. All right, we'll start with the pricing. MSRP on both of them is actually the exact same, $1,999. Another good reason I thought this was gonna be an interesting comparison. However, to be fair, the Hellion is much newer and the demand is just crazy right now, whereas the X95 has been on the market for a little while. So it's only fair to talk about actual street price and what you could expect to pay as I'm making this video right now, late January 2022. So although the MSRP is $2,000 on the X95, I can find them for what I write down as low as about $1,750, $1,750. If you budget that in, you should be able to pick up X95 in 5.56. Whereas honestly right now, the Hellion's only been on the market for, I don't know, it's been a matter of weeks, not even a month yet. And so the market's a little crazy. I'm sure it'll go down to MSRP soon, but someone on an ended listing on Gunbroker got it for as low as $2,300. So it is going for a little more than MSRP. But again, when I'm making this video, the gun's only like a month or less on the market. So I'm sure it'll chill out eventually. As of now, you will save money going X95. The Hellion's got a 16-inch barrel. It is a hammer forged barrel and a 1-in-7 twist with a nice little pistol profile, so it's fairly lightweight. And the X95's got a 16.5-inch barrel, and they did that to get to the minimum length requirement, as we'll talk about in just a second. It's also a chrome line cold hammer forged barrel, pencil profile with the 1-in-7 twist as well. Like I said, both of them in 5.56. The Hellion's got a 2-position adjustable gas system here for suppressed and unsuppressed settings, which is pretty darn cool. Now, I try to find as much information on the ways to suppress a X95, and it's a little bit gray there. I don't believe there's any way you could adjust the gases at all. And luckily for me, it's not that big of an issue. Actually, it's a non-issue whatsoever. I happen to be shooting both of these with the OSS muzzle devices with the HXQD 5.56 titanium suppressor. It's got the majority of the gases going out the front with what they call the flow-through technology. That's not a plug on OSS. I know it's probably been sounding like that. I just happened to get it within the last few months, so I'm using it a lot. This here with the adjustable stock collapsed has got a length of 28.25 inches, and the Tavor doesn't have an adjustable stock, and I've never even needed it. It's always been comfortable for me, and this has an overall length of 26.125 inches, so this is quite a bit shorter actually. The weight's virtually identical. We got 8 pounds over here, 7.9 pounds with the Tavor. Both of them come with 30-round PMags. Well, unless you're the YouTube reviewer making sure I'm monetized, these 30-round PMags identify as 10-round PMags. Okay, with that out of the way, they both come with PMags, 30 rounds. The Tavor comes with the window mag, for what that's worth. I think it's kind of cool, where you get the traditional non-window with the Hellion. Both of them get a big pass as far as how many QD points they have. They are just littered with QD points. They're exactly where you want them, so all good there. Not that it matters to me, but I know many of my viewers would like to hear this as far as being ambi or overall lefty friendly. I would say the Hellion is certainly more lefty friendly, considering everything is ambi out of the box. They do sell conversion kits to have the brass shooting off the left side of the Tavor, but those conversion kits are like $450 if I'm not mistaken, so it's better just to get the left-hand Tavor from the start. Whereas you could swap that out fairly easily with the Hellion, as well as everything's ambi. All right, last thing I want to do before we kind of get moving with them is talk about the triggers. So we're just going to go ahead and dry fire a little bit, make sure we are empty. Quite a bit of take up, but a hard wall. It moves a little bit beyond that wall. And right when you think it's about to feel heavy, it goes. So it's right in there. I would say, like I said in the video with this, if it was any worse, it'd be disappointing, but otherwise it's acceptable for a bullpup. It's a bit high. We'll do it again here, a little take up, and I mean, it's clean enough, certainly. Once you get some practice with it, it's not a bad trigger for a bullpup. Way less take up initially, but it's not too bad. Yeah, interesting, all right. Less take up, it does travel beyond that initial wall, but it happens really short. That's kind of tough. I might have to prefer the X95 trigger on this one. It's interesting to have them head to head. Yeah. I think we have to go X95 trigger here. Mind you, the Hellion is significantly better than the AUG and the FS2000 from my experience, and the P90 while we're at it. All right, now before we get shooting, I want to talk about the manual of arms, overall controls, and ergonomics. So we're gonna start with the Hellion here. So first off, we have got our charging handle. It is not just ambi, although it technically is, it works left and right, but rather it's just smack dab in the middle of the gun here, and it folds off to the left and right side. So being a right-handed shooter, I could pull this off here, empty mag, it locks back, and this kind of stays back as well. To release the mag, it's kind of like an AK in the way you got the paddle back here. So it's one step that way. And then to release the charging handle, you can either just get it started this way, or you do this little pinch motion here, right there. So let's say you have your last round, bolt hold open, as you can see on this side, and you dumped a mag. What you would have to do is grab, toss it, get a new mag, put it in here, and then another motion to do this. Now, let's pretend you had it on safe to put on fire. Not only is it in an awkward spot, so where you have to get off the grip, the throw between safe and fire is so small that when it's on safe, to me, it kind of looks like it's on fire. I'm so used to safe being a perfectly flat position, so just seeing the white line angled up at a 45-degree angle makes me think it's on fire, but it needs even more of a throw. Since we're nitpicking here, so we go ahead and pull this back, locks back, as you can see. Here's what I really like. Mag release isn't a pinch motion. It's right where your index finger lies, just like on the AR-15. So you could press that to drop it. So I really like that. Full disclosure, I come out here to shoot recreationally. I've got no military, no law enforcement background, no nothing. I don't even train with like plate carriers or nothing like that. I'm a recreational shooter. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, knowing that I'm just usually messing around out here. But I could see this being a little bit more advantageous for those operators out there. Because if I'm going to be doing a multi-step motion for a reload, let's say I'm shooting, I'm dry. On the Hellion, for example, I pinch, throw it down somewhere, get a new mag, then come off, pinch. It takes a little while. Whereas this, I can have both hands doing two different motions. This just presses it, it drops, hits the ground, who cares, get a new mag. And then what you do from here is it's two motions, but it's a little quicker. See how this thing really sticks out? So instead of doing this and pinch, you just hit it on the way up. So you can just go. So it's a little bit quicker. So, all right, bear with my really crap reload. All right, like I said, I don't do plate carrier drills. So we're just gonna pretend this is my spare mag ready to go, okay? So let's say we're shooting. This thing locks back. Instinctively, I wanna press the mag release here, but no, we're gonna do this, dump it, get a new mag, pinch. So it's not bad at all. But just when comparing that to the X95, same thing here. This thing gets locked back. I'm gonna do it on this side here just to show you guys with my finger. I'm shooting, drop it, get a new mag in there on the way up. So, I mean, I don't know what the difference is on that time. Of course, this is just a really crappy example. I'm not an operator, but I think I like the overall manual of arms on the X95 quite a bit more. While we're on the X95 though, we'll talk about other controls. We got the mag release here as we covered. And then again, where your thumb lies, right there, just like an AR-15. The safety is so satisfying, you just want to fidget it just for no good reason. All right, so let me sit down and talk about disclosures real quickly since you guys like that. All right, guys, I'll be honest with you. I always thought disclosures were a little weird because if I would lie about liking a gun, I could just lie about saying I bought the gun if I didn't. So it's always been a little weird for me, and there's no incentive to lie saying I like a gun when I don't. So if I had $1 for every time I was called a shill, this would be my own land I'm shooting on, okay? So just want to put it out there. I'm going to be totally honest regardless of what the situation is. So in the case of the Springfield Armory Hellion, they actually reached out to me about a month and a half before it came to market to tell me about it. and I got my hands on it about 2 weeks before it was publicized on the 14th of January. And to my surprise, I went to my FFL to pick it up, and it had a Nightforce NX8 on there. I didn't know about that. So it seems to me like Nightforce played along with the launch on the release and all that cool stuff. So this right here was compensated, so I do appreciate that, but that certainly doesn't buy my opinion. This isn't like Christmas to me. I've said that in the past. Free guns are neat and everything, but they're not going to buy my opinion. That's pretty ridiculous. Since we're going along with that theme though, in the case of the IWI X95 Tavor, it was actually me who reached out to IWI about a year and a half ago to see if I can get my hands on the X95 Tavor, and they responded and said no. So it's okay, I sourced one and I bought one. Do I need to say anything else? The Hellion's the better gun. All right, we'll back up just a little bit here. It's a very cool recoil impulse. It feels like the action is kind of slow, although it's not. It's kind of like a chunky thing. And just so you guys can see, between the center of the optic and the bore of the rifle, I mean, we got such a huge gap, and that's what kind of helps keep the recoil pretty flat. Forgot to mention on the disclosures, EOTech was actually cool enough to hook up the optic setup on this guy as well, so I certainly appreciate that. Swivel that off, no magnification. There we go. Oh yeah. This out, but again, big thanks to Silencer Shop. Go ahead and shoot into the rock so you don't hear that steel. Yeah, the recoil impulse was already pretty good, but man, the suppressor really just, it's nice. All right, we'll go ahead and go back to some steel here. Alrighty, so slap it. Go into the rocks again. Good old mag dump. I can tell right away this is gassing me a little bit more even with the OSS. Well, I guess I only had 2 to dump. Okay, interesting. You could shoot these things all day long individually on different days, but as it always happens, whenever you get 2 guns head to head and shoot them back and forth, that's when impressions can really develop. So I'm very fortunate I get that opportunity. I'll just tell you right away, the gun I thought I was gonna like before we really did this head to head is still the gun I prefer, but the gap narrowed in a lot more throughout this comparison. So before I started shooting this head-to-head, I had the idea I was gonna like the X95 Tavor a little bit more, and after doing this, I in fact do, but it's almost splitting hairs. It's the gap is right there. No suppressor. This one, that's there. No suppressor. This one is flatter shooting by a decent margin. Obviously, that's no 50 cal. It's actually super flat. But this one, unsuppressed, is just very, very nice. Once you throw a suppressor on there, it gets even better. Whereas that changes form a little bit more. Just again, you have to take into account, this is my specific case with my suppressor being the OSS 556. Both of them, like I said, respond well with that can, but there's this level of softness that one has. Maybe it's on that gas system. In fact, I would say probably is. So that there's this level of 22-like recoil on this one, whereas this one's certainly not bad. It's got a little bit more of a, the action happens faster, so it's more of a jolt. Certainly shoots flat as well. The reason I'm still gonna say I'm partial to liking the X95 a little bit more is just, I gotta say where the controls are at. I like the safety here. I like the mag release right up here. Overall, it's a very, very comfortable gun. Gotta say, it looks pretty good too. Not that that doesn't. That looks like it's out of Halo or something like that. So yes, obviously I like the X95. So question being, is the Hellion a valuable option? Certainly. It's a little weird right now with the market being over MSRP. I don't give it much time at all. I think Springfield Armory's gonna catch up. You'll be finding those for $2 grand, maybe even less than MSRP before too long. I'll grab the empty mag, assess the problem, and fix it. At Detroit survival training. No, I just didn't lock back. Alright, well that's not the gun's fault actually. I bet you it's because the OSS on suppressed mode. Just for fun, let's do it again with it on normal. Interesting thing to make note of, the recoil impulse feels exactly like the X95 when it's on the normal mode. That's why this is a little softer when suppressed on suppressed mode. Interesting. Well guys, I think that just about does it. I wanted it to be a little bit informal, just kind of shooting an overall impressions, but then also kind of go into the details about each one so you guys kind of make the call yourself. I think if you're into either one of these with a little bit of bias, just get the one with that bias. They're close enough to where you don't have an obvious winner. I think just going back and forth as much as I have so far, it's the gap is closer than I thought, like I already said, but I think I would prefer the X95. But if you already got the VHS2 look in your head and that's one you really want, the Hellion is certainly an awesome option as well. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of information and context on them. Two very, very nice bullpups. In fact, like I said, my favorite of the lineup so far without experiencing all of them, like I said. So that does it. If I could get my hands on some other ones, i.e. the MDR, MDRX, we'll go ahead and do this again with as many bullpups as I can gather. But that does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.